Hey, all, what's up? It's Ryan. We're back. I wanted to work on this project a little more over the last couple of days, but I didn't want to get too far ahead since we started working on this together. So, for people who were not here for the first stream, basically what we've got going on, I'm working on an illustration here for an NFT project. Um, let's see if I can get it focused a little better. Um, the idea we were just doing the digital illustration in Procreate. I tried to clean up my stream a little bit so that you guys could get a little better image. So I'll be drawing over here, but up in the top right corner, you'll see a detail of the iPad so that you can take a look at it and see what's going on. Basically, at the end of part one, this didn't have quite as much color as it does now, but I've gone in and added some colors so you guys can see that. So basically at this stage, we've got just blocks of color. That's about it. So, we'll start doing some shading and some different color details. I've still got like these feathers to do and these little, I don't know what they are, little horns or whatever that need to be colored in. So I'll start with doing that, and then we'll move into doing the lights and darks. Now, I only have about 15 minutes or so, so we're probably not going to get very far. But more than anything, I'm trying to figure out how to deploy quickly to this live stream. So, because I want to be able to just kind of do it whenever I have time. And like I say, this project has been kind of held up because I've been waiting to get back to it, and I didn't want to get too far ahead of everybody. So yeah, so go back and watch part one. It actually lives over on the Eggs channel. Eggs is my podcast that I do with my co-host Mike Smith. So you can catch Eggs every Thursday, but just by happenstance, I was able to go live on the Eggs channel before I could go live on this channel. So we went live over on Eggs before we went live here. So anyway, so part one of this is over there. I'll probably download it and move it over here too at some point, but this is where it is for now. So, just as a quick reminder or a brief for everybody, basically what we've got here is a bunch of different colored layers underneath a layer of inks, right? So these are all our blocks of color. They're all underneath this line drawing here. Let's see if I can easily. I don't think I can quickly turn off all those. So you'll just have to take my word for it in the interest of time. But anyway, so I'm just going to start coloring and filling stuff in. If you have any questions, we actually do have a chat today, so you can start to leave some info there in the chat. Like I said, this will be a short-lived call today or short-lived live thing today. So stick with me, hang out for a few minutes, and we'll just do a little coloring for now. So when we did this live stream a couple days ago for the first part of this drawing, which was actually had already been started, but so we started doing it on a live stream the other day just to test it out. I was playing music in the background because I thought it would be a little more entertaining than just listening to me mouth breathe, and it probably is. However, as anticipated and predicted, I did get a copyright strike. So I went in and I had to remove the audio, which was just basically, some music in the background. But so if anybody happens to be a streamer of some variety or knows anything about the YouTube world, does anybody know if there's a way to like just play music or something while I'm working? Like, I mean, as fun as it is to just sit here and watch me work, haha. I think it's probably more fun, at least if you've got some cool music playing or something in the background. So I would like to up my production value by including some music if possible. And I don't know if there's a way to play that while I'm working. I know I can add it in post, but that's kind of not what I want to do. I'd rather have it while we're sitting here working. Just because I mean, even on my end, sitting here working, it's kind of boring without any kind of music or anything going on. So with these feathers, I'm actually not totally sure what I'm going to do with the color. My thought was maybe I would do something like this, like green over green. But honestly, with my pink and blue flowers or feathers, I kind of like those better. This may not be a permanent decision, but this is one of the things that you'll notice that like when I'm building out this file, that's why so much of it is on multiple layers. So I don't know if you noticed when I had the layer palette open here, but we have a ton of layers and more or less, I mean, there's some different shades of different colors, but typically I try and separate every color just because it gives me flexibility when I circle back later to change colors as I like. So in this case, I'm kind of rushing, just given that I'm trying to get out the door. So I'm being a little sloppier than I should be. So anyway, but I don't know if we'll stick with green feathers or not, but we'll just pump them in for now, and then we can swap out the color later. So one of the things I'm trying to do here is try and showcase some different projects. This one is sort of part of a series of illustrations I've done that are called the Barong series. Barong is a mythological critter from like Bali and Thailand, part of the world, and he, God bless it. Um, but he is, has these masks and they have these, creepy teeth and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's a thing I like to do. And if you check out my website, you'll see there's a bunch of illustrations and stuff kind of in this series. I'm trying to, add a couple more illustrations. So for people who didn't get the whole preamble when I live streamed the other day, the concept is that I'm going to be doing a few of these, or what I'm doing presently is I'm doing a few of these for a few different NFT projects that either I'm involved with or have friends with, or I'm friends with the founders or the creators of these projects. So presently, I plan to do three of these. This one is to support a NFT project called the Pigeons of New York. So that is, hence the pigeony dude. This little logo on the coin here on its forehead is sort of from that NFT project. In addition, I'm going to do one for a project called ATS, or Apes Together Strong, which is actually not derivative of the bored apes or any of these other ape centric projects. This guy is actually, it's tied to the movie Planet of the Apes. I guess the main monkey, I can't remember his name, Caesar, I think maybe, says this to some of the other monkeys or something. Apes together strong. So anyway, that's where it kind of comes from. But their artwork's very cool. I met the founders in Vegas this last weekend, and they're very cool people. And so I'm going to do one for their project also, and then we will do a third one for another group called the Respected Rhinos. We spent a lot of time together with the rhinos over the weekend, and if you watch my Twitter feed at all, you'll see I support their project and I'm involved with that a little bit. I want to call out this little spot, so you can see I've kind of made a mistake here. I had a spot that I think was meant to be left open, but it's not. So I'm going to go back to my ink layer and just sort of erase out of there. And then I'm actually going to go back to my black color and kind of patch up that hole that I just made. So, and then of course I have to go back to my color layer and erase out that little bit there. And then I have to find this purple layer, which I think is this one, and grab this purple and fill in that. So just a little patch job there, but it makes the illustration look a little bit more dynamic to have that like a broken and not perfect feather. Let's go back here. We'll go to past colors. We'll grab our light green again. Yeah, see, dude, not having any sound or any music is really bad. And I know that I'm very compelling while I'm working. I'm sitting here, I'm trying to talk and work at the same time, but it's tough to be very entertaining while you're doing that. So anyway, and also I guess there's not enough teaching moments right now, right? Like it would be interesting if I could be talking to you about, a process or how we're doing something. For anybody who I guess missed video one, I did a little summary at the top of this video to talk about some of the process and what we're basically doing, which is just doing these color layers underneath a ink layer, so to speak. And yeah, so that's it. I think that's him colored. So given that I only have about maybe another 10 minutes or so, I think what I'll do is I'm going to start in with some of my darks. I typically have more than one layer of darks, but the way I do it is I'm just going to add a layer up here at the top, and I'm going to switch the blend mode here by clicking on this little N. I'm going to switch the blend mode to multiply, which basically means that it becomes somewhat transparent. Like if you use a white on a layer that's set to multiply, it will not be visible. But if you use black, it can be somewhat transparent. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. Basically, I'm going to build a shadow on top of this. Second thing I do is I'm going to pull this opacity down to about 50%. We'll adjust a little bit more once we see what it looks like. So then basically, I'm just going to pick a random place to start. But all we're going to do is basically paint over top anywhere where there might be a shadow. Okay, so I can already tell you that that shadow color is going to be a little bit dark for what I'm looking for anyway, but that's okay. So we'll draw in some of those shadows, but then what I'm going to do is just come back in here and adjust it a little more. I'll probably take it down more like something like that. So that's about 25% right there. So that's probably a little more like what I'm looking for. So, and I'm actually going to fill in this whole nostril. I will probably, in a second layer, add even more color inside this nostril just so that we have a darker hole there. But that'll work for this. So, and as you can see, by using that sort of multiply effect, it makes it so that the color underneath shows through. And so you end up with sort of like in this case, kind of a dark pink. But as we go over here, you'll get sort of a shady yellow and stuff like that, and it just sort of adds a layer of depth to it. So we'll repeat the process a couple times to get a couple different varying shades of darkness. So this is sort of like a mid level shadow, but there will be like darker level shadows around here somewhere too. So we'll do some of that at a later point. And basically, it's the same process. Just we'll set another layer over top of this one, and add some more darkness to it. So, and then the process is essentially the same for highlights. So when you guys are ready to move ahead, or if you're ahead of me on a project, you guys can jump ahead and do highlights the same way. Basically, I add a different layer, and then I'll use either a white or I'll use white and some kind of blending mode to give me, a highlight color. Fill that in. So one of the things when we were doing this drawing initially, we were using sort of a symmetry setting. We can talk about it, in another project because we're well past needing that. But the thing with that symmetry thing that's so nice is that it will do the same thing to one side that it does to the other, right? So if this project was perfectly symmetrical, you could just easily paint, turn that back on and paint both sides at the same time. In this case, we got away from the symmetry relatively early, and so there's a lot of differences between the left and the right, even though they seem sort of similar. And for that reason, we have to do each side sort of independently. So the nice thing about it is it gives us the opportunity to introduce some like one-off elements and more organic shapes, things like that, that will sort of add to, I don't know, I guess quote unquote the realism, even though it's not a very realistic critter. But that's sort of the logic anyway behind breaking away from doing symmetry, is that you can make your illustration maybe a little bit more dynamic by showing some differences. So also as part of this style, the brush I'm using, it's actually the same brush I've used throughout the project, but it's a little bit rough. It's not perfect. Like you can see the lines here are a little bit rough along the edges. I happen to like that look. If you don't, obviously you can achieve different looks, through different brushes, that kind of thing. doesn't look right. That's probably closer. I'm actually not really in love with this little horn shape here. I may end up going back in and killing it at some point, but it's there for now. So go ahead and color it in. So as you can see, there's sort of no rhyme or reason to where I start doing my shading or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, some people might be more process driven, like they might want to start from a specific end or something. I actually kind of flip and rotate a lot throughout the project. So for me, there, isn't a logical beginning and an end. So for me, I just kind of go for it. I swear this iPad sensitivity is funky because every time I go to pinch, I end up drawing a line. All right, folks. Well, we've got a dash on our way to the next big thing. But anyway, that's kind of how it works for the dark colors. I'll probably work on this a little bit more offline, but I'll circle back and we'll touch base on it again. All right. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.